Hi, I'm Donna Bascom Lund, and I'm going to be teaching a class in watercolor tree techniques at the mill. And I think that it's always good to have a few more tools in your arsenal with watercolor painting. I've come across a few different techniques for making trees, and I like trees that are airy and light and have lots of places for birds to fly through. Trees that look like light and air are moving through them rather than solid blocky trees. We want to do trees that have a lot of character. So we will be using spattering techniques, sponging techniques, and spraying techniques to really bring life and air to our trees. We'll work on shadows and different types of trunks and bark, and we'll explore some dry brush techniques to help make bark look more realistic. You can bring whatever equipment, supplies that you have, or we can share what I have, and we'll be in contact before the class so we can gauge what's needed and what I can bring to help you learn how to do better trees. So this is a little watercolor painting with a wet on wet technique. These trees, I spritz the paper and then drop in the tree leaves, adding a little more dark later on and putting some shading on the sides of the trees. So I was experimenting with different ways of making foliage one summer, and I tried lots of different techniques to make foliage. And out of that came this little painting. And a bloom is when you put paint with too much water, or you put water into a color that's already on the paper. And normally it's seen as a mistake, but I did one painting where I tried to make blooms and see what it would do. So in this little painting, I purposely dropped too wet paint or water into the other paint that I had on the paper and let it go off in its little finger shapes. And you can see in some spots on this paper where there's maybe a lighter color and a lot of texture, it's moved the paint. And that's one of the reasons I like watercolor, because of that kind of fun little things that it does that no other paint will do that. We've lived around the lake for 40 years, and a lot of our commutes have been going by the dam and going by the lake of Lake Warren and the Mill Hollow area and that little brook. And you go by this scene every single day. And sometimes it's, it's just normal. And then sometimes you go by and the light is hitting it just a certain way, and the foliage is at a certain stage of the year. And it's just all of a sudden it turns into magic. Almost music goes off in my head when I see something like that. And that's kind of where a lot of the paintings come from. They're things you see every day, but then something different happens and you got to catch it.